Good afternoon, everybody. My name's Gary Skentelbery from Albury News. We're a family business based in Warrington, and we're publishers now, but we weren't 50 years ago. And I'm going to take you on a little journey. I have some props. Right. No, I'm not going to deliver the budget, you'll be relieved to know, because that would send everyone to sleep.
You were the better wear man.
No, this was my father's suitcase for work 50 years ago, possibly even longer. And I'm going to take you on a journey now from this to this. And it all started a lot longer ago with my grandfather, Thomas Wilden Skentelbery, R.I.P. Quite a few years ago. I think he'd be about 110 now. But he wouldn't write under the name Skentelbery because no one could spell it. So he used his middle name, Wilden, which was his mother's name. But he was a theatre critic for the Manchester Evening News, and he retired at the grand old age of 81. Now my dad still works in our business at 80. And I'm trying to keep him engaged because my granddad, sadly, after he retired, he was dead a few years later. So he didn't have a very long retirement, but he loved his job. He built up a brand working for the Evening News. And surprise, surprise, I did a lot of work for the Evening News in my early days as well. So, the case, you can come and look inside this case later. There are some real old artifacts in this. Colin, you might remember some of these. So how did it all begin? Right, well, I left school in '79. I'd worked in the family business for a few years in my school holidays. And my dad used to produce this. And this was not made on computers, it was made with Letraset. Who remembers Letraset? I knew you'd remember Letraset. Yeah, you probably still, do you still sell it?
That was in Vatican's days.
But anyway, my dad produced this on an old typewriter and Letraset. And I've put the latest issues of Warrington Worldwide around the room so you can see how the printing industry has developed over the last 50 years. So how did I get involved? Well, my mum ran a shop on Horse Market Street called the Art Centre, where I also did a little bit of work selling stuff. Do you remember the Art Centre?
Well, we were next door because Maximus was on Horse Market Street.
That's right, yeah. Small world. But anyway, I worked in there as well, but when I had to stay at home with my dad looking after me, he needed to keep me busy. So most dads would have probably taken the sons off to the football or down to the park to play cricket or something like that. But no, my dad had me designing magazines at about the age of 3.5. Because what he used to do, he used to start putting this together himself in the front living room, on the dining room table or something, and I'd be there seeking attention, so he'd just throw me a few bits of paper and a bit of Letraset and say, "There you go, son, have a play with that." So, as a result of me having a play with that when I was 3.5, we went on to develop Warrington Worldwide, which is on your chairs now. So some interesting stuff in here, just to show how old it all is. I mean, my father, I don't want to rip this stuff, but there you are. Post and Chronicle. Remember when newspapers used to be like this? I mean, that's what you call a proper newspaper. Wow. This should be in a museum. Great train robbery article written by my dad. And he's still working in the business to this day, reporting on all the news in Warrington. I can't get him to retire, he won't go, and I think it's probably because of what happened to his poor dad. But anyway, so, because we haven't got much time, you can come and look in the case later and see some of the other history going back over 50 years. And we ended up with the world being transformed by these. Now if you imagine when I started work in 1980, I literally had a Victorian typewriter with real paper, carbon paper, and I had to type the news, pick up a phone the story to a newspaper, they'd type it all again, and then it would appear the next day. Whereas now it appears within seconds. Literally, I can update our website from this phone with the latest breaking news, with video, the full Monty. It's frightening to see how fast things have changed, and it makes me wonder where we're going to be in another 30, 40 years. I mean, people's attention span, sadly, and this is what we all have to be aware of in business, people's attention span has gone from reading that for about 3 hours to looking at that in about 3 seconds. So if you want your businesses to get exposure and to be seen, yeah, it's still important to have the regular presence in a nice monthly glossy magazine, but you need to make your engagements as engaging as possible in the mobile phone, because our latest statistics show that 70% of traffic to websites comes through your mobile phone now. 70%. Desktops are almost extinct. It's only the people who are working in an office who are logging on at lunchtime, looking at the news or what's going on, who are still using desktops. Everyone else is these or tablets. So if you want to promote your business effectively, come and see me after the meeting. This I resisted because I only got my iPhone 5-6 years ago, because I knew as soon as I got it, my life would be over. And I was right. People say to me now, why are you tweeting at midnight? Why are you answering emails at 1 o'clock in the morning? Why are you on Facebook? Why are you on LinkedIn? I mean, it is an addiction, unfortunately, and you know, most of us have become addicted to these things, haven't we? Yeah, we spend our lives on them. So the way we used to report news now has completely changed. I actually came to this college to learn photography. I was the first photojournalist in the northwest of England when I decided I could earn more money writing a story and taking the picture as well, because the newspapers would send another photographer out traditionally, but then I decided I could do it myself. Invested in all the expensive cameras, learned how to develop and print. Little did I know, 20 years later, one of these would do a lot. And not just take colour pictures, high definition. I mean, the pictures that we use on the front of the magazines now, A4 full colour, taken on these. Don't need to use the camera anymore, it's just sat there gathering dust. And it just gets straight onto your computer, straight onto your website, straight onto social media, and makes life so much easier. Unfortunately, it's had a devastating effect on the newspaper industry, because newspapers now, where a newspaper would traditionally employ 50 to 100 people, they now employ 5 to 10 people. So, and we've all had to move with the times, and the times have changed, as you can see, because literally 50 years, it's gone from that suitcase to that telephone. So I like to try and make these presentations interactive, because I always know there's a young man in the audience who's always got a question for me, haven't you, Callum?
You can't leave me in peace.
You're going to leave me in peace? You can't do that. What was the question you asked last time?
Are you going to mention a Chris Dunn in that case?
No, I've left him at the office.
Where did you find that by face from? Dad?
Probably Rattigans.
Those Rattigans were in 81. I
Yeah?
was thinking they probably learned the trade together. And the printer used to work at the Mirror. So I went,
It's frightening how the media has changed so much.
Anyhow, if you've got a question, he'll still be here to answer.
I'll still be here to answer.
Gary, thank you very much.
No problem.
Brilliant.